Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks so much for being with us. It is 3 o'clock Central, and that means it's time for the show. So today on the program, I guess what I would say about today is the news of today has radicalized me. I've been kind of talking about this for a while, trying to put this into words, but essentially every husband, every father, every man responsible for protecting another person or the people around you, you make a calculation in your head. And men, fathers especially, do this every single day. Most of the time, we don't even realize we're doing it. When a father crosses a parking lot at night, he's doing it. When he notices a suspicious person lingering near his family, he's doing this, making this calculation. When he decides whether to carry a firearm or install security cameras or teach children to be aware of their surroundings, he's doing this. He's making this calculation. It's a threat assessment, a constant balancing of risks. Because contrary to what the media tells us, most men don't want violence. Most men understand exactly what violence means. Violence means someone gets hurt. Violence means someone loses a father, a wife, a husband, a son, a daughter. Violence means consequences that can last a lifetime. A good father doesn't wake up every day looking for a fight. A good father wakes up trying to avoid one, at least corporeally speaking, maybe not spiritually. We do spiritual battle every single day. But this particular equation is simple. My family needs me, my wife needs me, my children need me, and if I get arrested, they suffer. If I get killed, they suffer. If I make a reckless decision and throw my life away, I have failed the people who depend on me. I've abandoned them. So the responsible man chooses restraint. He tolerates things. He overlooks things. He gives institutions the benefit of the doubt. He trusts that police will do their job. He trusts that judges will do their job. He may even trust that politicians will do their job. Because the alternative, well, it's more risky. It's scary, terrifying even. The alternative is believing that nobody is coming to help. The alternative is believing that the people entrusted with protecting the innocent are unwilling or unable to do so. And that is where the equation starts to change for, I think, the average father. Because eventually, by the way, it's Father's Day weekend coming up. Eventually, the question enters a different calculation. What if doing nothing is actually the greater risk? What if remaining quiet today creates a far more dangerous world for my children tomorrow? What if the institutions that were supposed to stop the abuse are protecting the abusers? History is filled with examples of populations enduring hardships for years. People rarely explode over a single event. They explode after years of accumulated frustration, betrayal, and broken trust. To outsiders, it looks sudden. To the people living through it, though, it feels long overdue. Last week, we watched the scenes unfold in Belfast. It would have seemed unthinkable just a few years ago. Cars burning, roads blocked, riots, homes burned down, crowds of ordinary people taking to the streets after a brutal knife attack committed by a Sudanese migrant who had been granted permission to remain in the United Kingdom. The violence quickly spread across Belfast and beyond, leaving polite society, the pearl clutchers, politicians, journalists, commentators, asking things like, what's happening to these people? But of course, they're all asking the wrong question. The real question isn't why some people finally snapped. The real question is what calculation led them there. And I think it's this calculation I'm talking about. Because again, every father and every husband runs a threat assessment in his head every single day for a variety of issues, topics, potential threats. It's constant. And if you're a dad, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Which brings me to the latest revelations coming out of Britain, the grooming gang scandal. It's haunted the United Kingdom for years. And now a new independent inquiry led by MP Rupert Lowe argues that the true scale of the abuse of British girls, mostly white girls, is vastly larger than previously understood, estimating that the number of victims reaches hundreds of thousands nationwide, 250,000 girls. The testimonies and documented cases themselves are horrific. We're going to get into it here in a minute. Some of them are, I don't even want to talk about it. It's beyond description. It's disgusting, but we're going to. Survivors have described years of rape, trafficking, intimidation, and abuse while institutions repeatedly fail to intervene. But what is perhaps even more disturbing than the crimes themselves is the recurring allegation, and I think it's not an allegation, I think it's the truth, because it's in this it's in this report that authorities, police, local councils, social services, and other agencies often knew far more than they admitted and failed to act. Multiple inquiries and parliamentary discussions have described systemic failures by the state to protect vulnerable children. And that's the part that changes the father's equation I was talking about. People can tolerate evil merely existing. What they struggle to tolerate is the belief that those entrusted with stopping it were looking the other way, or worse, helping facilitate it, which is what we have in these documents. When fathers read stories of abused children and then learn the social workers, local authorities, police departments, and government officials ignored warnings, suppressed complaints, and prioritized institutional reputations over child safety, you better watch out. Because this isn't just anger, it's a total loss of trust, with men willing to do anything to make it stop. The social contract itself gets thrown in the trash because the government refused to honor it, because government derives its legitimacy from one basic promise: will they protect the innocent? The government tells us that they will. We will protect the innocent. But they're not doing that. They're not only not protecting the innocent, they're not going after and prosecuting the guilty. The moment citizens begin to believe that promise is no longer being kept, they start asking questions they never wanted to ask. Questions about responsibility, accountability, what happens when the people entrusted with protecting children become part of the machinery that targeted them for sexual abuse and domination. So I suspect that is why we were seeing the unrest in Belfast. That's why everybody's so concerned about this right now, and they're taking action. And it's not because violence is preferred, but it's because many observers look at those scenes and conclude that violence is the only way to solve the problem. And we could argue about whether that's right or wrong, but it's a dangerous place for any society to be, because once enough fathers begin to believe that the people protecting their families are unwilling to do so because they're not, the threat assessment, this daily thing that we all go through in our heads, that changes. Calculation changes, and history teaches us that when trust finally collapses, events can move much faster than anyone expects. So today on the show, we're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about what's going on in the Middle East with the Memorandum of Understanding. Rob Spencer, my co-host, is with me. The show starts right now.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. Rob Spencer, my friend, it's great to have you back in studio. How you doing?
Gosh, Paul, it's felt like I don't know, forever since I was in studio with you, and I'm just glad to be here. You know, when I see all the news happen, so folks, if you ever wonder, like, hey, why is Rob not there? I own several businesses, and those businesses sort of pull me away. I love doing this show, and when news happens, when the Iranian war is over, when gas prices are on the trending down, and all of this stuff, and then our vice president goes on The View, and we're seeing all of this stuff, all of the stuff that you addressed in your opening monologue. When we're seeing all that, I was like, man, I just want to jump on air. I've got some things to say. Things I want to talk about. All of that stuff, and it's just, unfortunately, life happens sometimes, and all of that. So I'm glad to be here with you, Paul. Glad to go through all the news of the day with you, but then also talking about this from a father's perspective, because, everything that you said in that monologue was just completely true. We're, fathers, we don't wake up looking for a fight, but we're ready for one. Mm-hmm. A good father is. And, also I've seen videos, too, where people ask mothers, would you kill for your children? And without a shadow of a doubt, conservative mothers are like, oh, hell yeah. Who is it?
Yeah.
If somebody's threatening the life of my children, who is it? And then these liberal women are like, well, I don't know that I would kill for my children. And it just goes to show the mentality of the value of life. And these people who are committing these heinous acts in the UK and also here in the United States, we're not seeing so many reports of this stuff, but it's coming here because they're here. Mm-hmm. They're here, folks.
Yeah.
And those people committing these heinous acts, they have no value for human life. This is where conservatives need to step up, and this is where they are needed the most, in my opinion.
100%. And I have been, I think, trying to articulate this problem in my head for a long time, and so that's why I did the monologue on it, because, I mean, because I've often thought about, okay, well, what if the government does this? What if the government does that? What if they take our guns? Like 15, 20 years ago when Obama was in office, there was this thought of, what if they do a gun confiscation? Are you going to give up your guns? And
sure.
I think so many people at the time were like, well, yeah, I guess I would, or I'd bury them in my backyard and say they were stolen, or people had all these contingency plans, but that they wouldn't necessarily openly revolt because of the safety of their family. Because what about abandoning the kids? But I think what we're seeing in the UK, number one on this specific issue, never give up your guns ever in a million years, because of what that does. What's going to inevitably follow.
You saw it in Australia with the COVID-19. Like, if they would have had guns, that the government was literally putting them in camps.
Yes, they were.
What are we talking about here? We're talking about 2020, and the government of Australia were putting people in camps if they refused to get the jab. You want to talk about communism? You want to talk about totalitarianism? Mm-hmm. That is what the definition of it was. And then you got these absolutely lunatic liberals in Europe who are allowing the third world to infiltrate their country with no sort of assimilation plan, none of that stuff. And then we're seeing also that in the United States when, these third world countries, these Muslim-based countries, which is a terrorist religion, you can kiss my A if you disagree with that. They are a terrorist religion, and they are infiltrating American cities. And what are they doing? They're committing fraud because the white man is evil. Take his tax money. Who cares, right? They're committing fraud, and they're taking over these cities. They're trying to take over governments, and they've already taken over the largest government city in the United States there with New York.
Yes.
New York City with Mamdani, who is... What do you do in New York? That's a whole other discussion here. So if we're not on guard with this stuff, if we're not taking the lessons of what happened in Canada with the trucker protests where they were shutting down bank accounts, what happened in Australia with all of this putting people in concentration camps, and this absolutely rape culture that is existing in Europe, where they have infiltrated these rapists who have no sort of no sort of respect for the female. Like you have no value as a female,
right? Well,
so
especially if you're white, especially if you're white.
Yeah, and if I rape you, there's no problem with this. And you want to say, well, it's over there, it's up there, it's way down there with Australia. That's a 24-hour plane flight. You think it's not happening in the United States? You're a fool.
Yeah. Yeah, to them, it's like squashing an ant. You kind of get the feel. Oh, and I learned today, the thing I learned today about this whole rape inquiry in the UK, I learned that it's majority Pakistani Muslims that are doing the raping, and I learned that the UK calls them Asian men.
It's kind of like all the Mexican gang members who are committing violence here in the United States that are called white.
Yep.
You're like,
they get tagged as white.
Jose Gonzalez,
yeah,
who's a member. He's got a Tren de Aragua, tattoo on his hand is listed as white when he gets arrested.
Yeah, happens all the time.
Really?
So yeah, this is it's a mass raping of Asian men, and I get it what they're technically trying to say, but it's just crazy to me. So this has all been brought about by a guy by the name of Rupert Lowe. He's a politician there in the UK. Oh, real quick, you forgive me, I forgot to reset things because this was set for Eric. There you are. So he, I guess a day or so ago, he decided to talk about this preliminary report and saying that the report was going to be released in a few days. And this is what he said. I just wanted you to hear it directly from a politician in the UK. This is his report that he was in charge of.
Firstly, I would like to thank the 260,974 British men and women who signed the petition to make this debate possible, and I want to welcome these brave survivors who are sitting behind us in the hall. This debate is about them. As you quite rightly say, it's not about politics. I want the world to hear what we heard during the 2 weeks of our independent rape gang inquiry hearings, an inquiry that should never have needed to happen. I sincerely urge this Parliament to listen to the testimonies from these brave survivors and to act, to finally act. So the first testimony: he took his pants down, penetrated me, had sex with me. He then stopped before ejaculation. He picked up the bottle of Jack Daniels, which was now empty, and he forced it up inside me. He broke the glass while he was there. At that point, I was about 12, nearly 13.
Good grief. Oh, my God.
Another testimony. I was held down by the men as they each took turns to orally and vaginally rape me, taking it in turns to pin down my arms and my legs. When the assault ended, the men hit me repeatedly, threatened to find me, kill me, and harmed my loved ones if I ever told anybody what had happened. Another. Comments were constantly made suggesting that white girls, the Christian girls, were viewed as having fewer morals or lower values, whereas Muslim girls were described by some of the men as having dignity and higher moral standing. These comparisons were used to justify the way I was treated and to further humiliate
That's exactly what I was
control
saying.
me. Another. She was a white woman herself, who I imagine may have been groomed, and has obviously now married into the family, shouting obscenities at us. Throughout the whole sentencing, she was constantly saying, "Fucking liars, lying white bitches." She said to me that God will be the witness for what happens to me. Another. Race did play a part and motivated the selection or demographic of the victims. Throughout my exploitation, the other girls I encountered or who were abused alongside me were almost exclusively white. Another. She had a baby by him, and his dad was an imam. His dad knew. And he got his son married and said that he wasn't allowed to see the child. They look after their own community. Another. Over the course of the abuse, I was raped by multiple police officers in different parts of the country. Another. He put a cigarette out on the baby's face. Another. It started when I was 13. I was raped by probably about 600 or 700 different men over 3 years. Another.
600 or 700.
They would toot the horn of the car, and then a child would be taken to the front door by a staff member of the children's home.
Orphanages are in on
Another.
it.
I was bleeding from both my vagina and my back passage and was so swollen I could not sit down. I told hospital staff my drink had been spiked and I did not know what had happened because I was too afraid to tell the truth. They did not ask any questions. They gave me tablets and discharged me. I was 15 years old.
All right, so it goes on like this, and the report. We've got the high points of the report, but that is the Parliament's MP Rupert Lowe, and I sit here and I wonder the fact that the government has let it get this bad. I honestly don't know if there's any fixing it outside of some revolution. You know what I mean? Like at this point, the report is so bad. Who wants to trust the same government that allowed it to happen, I think, by design? They get all their foot soldiers brainwashed into believing it's about DEI, but in reality, it's about replacing the British population because I think lower IQ people are easier to control, honestly, and I think higher IQ people, like the white demographic, if they were to organize, they can much easier hold their government accountable. Although I know there's a lot of leftists in that demographic as well, but you think. Okay, now I'm grateful that he's done this report and getting it out there, but it's like, okay, so now we're going to just let you guys clean it up, which they won't, by the way, but even if they did, I'm like, you guys need to be put on trial. The entire the UK government needs to be put on trial, just like so many of our politicians need to be put on trial. I have been radicalized by this today, and I know you're over there sick to your stomach.
I'm going to try to find the right words to give that justice. Here's what I'll say. I'm the father of 2 daughters, one who's 12, one who's 7. The girl saying that she had been raped over and over and over when she was 12, almost 13, which is the same situation that my daughter's in.
You mean the age? That's
correct.
Okay.
My life, in my opinion, my life would be over in that moment.
Yeah.
Because of the utter warfare that would ensue. There would be no trial. I would find whoever it would be, and their life would be over. But unfortunately, when you have these non-Second Amendment countries, what are these individuals supposed to do? And the fact that they villainize someone, they're looking down at someone who's white and calling her a lying bitch and saying these heinous things about it is because in their mind they are raping the devil. You are a white devil. You have no value. You have no there's no value in your existence because you are an infidel. And I want America to wake up and say, there's a stand-up comedian, a weirdly enough analogy to make, that talks about this and says, Muslims, people who are Islamic, are like pit bulls. And the reason is, yes, there are some of them who are good, but a lot of them aren't. And a lot more, percentage-wise, of Muslim people are violent, rapist, anarchist who just want to destroy the world and give in to whatever fleshly desire they have at that moment. You have no value in a Christian world. And you and I are both Christians, Paul. You have no value in a Christian world. And I just wish sometimes that I had this Thanos from Avengers, the magic thing that just says, we're going to kill. I can instantly kill this many people.
It would be tempting.
Yeah. Can you tell me what the advantage for the world, for the globe, to keeping someone of Muslim faith? What advantage would we have to allow them to live? Because sure, there are good Muslims, but most of them aren't. And that, to me, it's like the pit bull.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be on the snapping fingers and genociding all Muslims. I know we're looking at what has been allowed to happen, and the immigration in first world countries has basically, it's literally people's sons and daughters are dying because of politicians, at least what their stated goal is, their commitment to diversity or whatever, which is completely
Joan
nonsense.
of Arc, burn them at the stake.
What I will say this is, I'll say that last week in Belfast, when they took to the streets and they started burning down the homes,
that's fathers, man.
Okay, they're burning down immigrant homes, and some of them, according to some reports, were like, "Well, I'm getting out of here. I'm self-deporting," and I don't know if that's true or not. But after you read this rape report, how is that not a tame idea? It is a tame idea to start burning down homes. The government won't protect the innocent. The government won't punish the guilty. Then you get this report saying, over whatever period of years, 250,000 girls have been raped, and it's got to be way higher than that.
Oh, it's way more.
Because
yeah.
there's a lot
What
of
about
stuff
the
that's
ones who are raped
unreported.
and killed? What about the ones that are raped to death?
Yes, exactly.
They're raped, literally raped to death, and they don't have they don't have an ability to tell their story. This girl in 2 years says she was raped over 600 times. Like,
it gets worse.
can you? There is no future for this young lady. There is no future from it. Let's just say she escapes it. She comes to New York, all of that stuff. She comes to America, goes to Idaho and marries a farmer. Is she going to have some kind of normal life?
No, of course
She
not.
can't. Not with all that trauma. There's so many things that can be fixed with therapy and through God and all of that stuff. But my God, you've got this trauma of 600 men forcibly entering your body. I can't, as a father to daughters, I can't go there in my mind, because if I do, then
It's a
it's
dark
really
place.
hard
Well,
to feel like
and
a Christian.
and that is the top of the show. That is
Yeah.
this calculation of, you have all these people, especially in Western European countries, that don't want violence. They don't want it, and they're going to avoid it. But when that population actually gets to the point where, like, actually, there's no choice. You would think it would be very severe, calculated, and tactical. And I don't know. I haven't even checked in on Belfast. I'm not even sure what's going on. But this at the moment. But this is insane. What has been allowed to happen is insane, and it's our future here in this country. It is our future if we don't take heed. Rupert Lowe's rape gang report has shown that the NHS, National Health Service, was discharging children as young as 11 years old back to their abusers after being treated for STDs, genital injuries, and even pregnancies. They were all involved from top to bottom. These people knew about it. And you know what? The lower level ones that are brainwashed, they might be able to say, well, DEI, and it could be that they're brainwashed. I don't think so anymore. I'm willing to entertain that these people are all actively pursuing evil for evil's sake.
It's all about money, Paul. It's all about money, because these people, they're looking at it and they're trying to say, all right, well, this person doesn't have value to me, but they do if I sell them to a deviant mind. I sell them to a deviant mind. They make money to me. They make money for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I look at it and I say, if this is where we're going as a society, then it's guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
In my mind. Like, come into this country, like, it makes me want to load up on ammunition. It makes me want to just go hunting and just say, you're an evil, vile person. What is the movie with Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey where he like touches them and he finds out that they're a demon and he kills them, and everybody thinks he's crazy, and his son he's raising his sons.
I can't remember. I don't know.
But there's this movie. Maybe they can help us in our.
What's it? What is it, chat? What is it?
Yeah,
What's
is it
the
in our
movie?
chat? But I'm like, everybody thought he was crazy because he was identifying these demons. These people who are doing this rape culture, the ones that look at a white person and say, you deserve to be raped. And it's not just Muslims, Paul. It's not just Muslims. We are so villainized globally as a white person. The color of your skin, you are so villainized that you deserve, your wife who is white, my wife who is white, they deserve to be raped. They deserve to be violated because they are white devils. They are evil people. And the irony is apparently lost on them. It's not lost on me, but it's lost on them that they're committing an evil act because they think that this person is evil. And I just want to reiterate, as a father to daughters, if you hurt my daughter, my life is over. Your life was decided when you hurt my daughter. But my life is now over because I'm going to end your existence. And unfortunately, when you have places in Europe that do not have that remedy of the Second Amendment, they're faced with the fallout of picking up the pieces of their life and trying to rebuild something
out
of rubble.
Honestly, out of all of the U.S.'s proxy wars and regime changes or regime change goals or, dreams, you can make the strongest argument right now that, and now I don't know if I would even support it right now because I'm actually our country is in such, shambles and we got a lot of work to do. But you can make an argument that we should be arming the Irish rebels right now. You can make an argument that we should be trying to do a regime change right now in the United Kingdom based on what those people are going through, based on what their government is doing. They're literally calling good things evil and evil things good. At a scale, I think at a scale beyond what our government is doing. And our government is doing that too, by the way.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something. So my wife and I went to watch Sound of Freedom whenever it was in movie theaters. You remember that movie with Angel Studios?
Yes.
It's about sex trafficking. And it's very much this exact same thing, here where these children were sex trafficked. And that one had a happy ending, but it didn't have a happy middle. None of this stuff was happy in the intermediate. And what happened was there's this one scene where this little 10-year-old girl is in this bed, and this creepy-ass dude walks into the room and turns off the lamp, and then it goes to black. And I just remember sitting there just bawling. I mean, I was just crying because I was just, when you see that, you start to see your own children.
Yeah.
And you just say, it's as simple as she meets the wrong person who says the right thing to her to get her in his vehicle.
Yeah, that's exactly
to get her to the second location, to do all of this stuff. And so when you watch The Sound of Freedom, you realize that there are more people in slavery in the world, on the globe right now, than there ever was in the 1840s. Okay? And so we think, oh, well, slavery, that's in America, that's a white people enslaving black people, and we can talk about the fact that only 1.4% of white people in the United States actually own slaves. When they want to villainize all of us, you're just like, wait a minute, 98.6% of white people didn't own slaves.
Well, you had to be wealthy, so...
Well, you had to be wealthy, and
I was raised a poor black child.
There you go.
You ever seen that Steve Martin movie?
Oh, yeah,
Where
yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Martin is I was raised a poor black child.
The jerk, yeah. Yeah, you're still in my dramatic moment here, Paul.
I'm sorry.
But going back to like the real thing here, and that is, what was the reaction to Sound of Freedom? Do you remember what the liberal media said? Oh, there's no proof. There's no proof that this happens.
Right.
And unfortunately, the United States is the number one purchaser of sex trafficking victims because there's the most money here, I guess. I don't know. But we're the number one purchaser in the entire world of sex trafficking victims. And you want to say this? You want to say that the Joe Biden administration just allowing this to infiltrate our southern border wasn't evil?
Yeah.
You need Jesus, but you also need a wake-up call because you are so infected with your liberal lunacy that you didn't realize what was happening. It wasn't all just about the votes. It was about the money train that exists with trafficking of humans.
I mean, I know this. I know, like 10 years ago, I heard somebody give a sermon, or at least mention it in a sermon about Super Bowl Sunday and how this is America's holiday or whatever, on a Sunday, which is wrong, but how the sex trafficking industry actually thrives on that day, whatever city the Super Bowl is in, is like a zenith of that year of sex trafficking. And it's sick when you think about it. I mean, it's
there's millions of dollars, billions of dollars flowing through that city that day.
It is.
And unfortunately, it's because you have some depraved minds paying for it.
A redhead libertarian, 250,000 English girls were allowed to be kidnapped, raped, tortured, and trafficked over 50 years by gangs of foreign monsters because no one in the UK wanted to be called a racist.
Good God.
The Rape Gang Inquiry Report found that at least 250,000 British girls. Here's a one interesting quote. 87% of those convicted in the group-based child sexual exploitation cases bore distinctively Muslim names. The vast majority of men involved in these gangs were not convicted. They weren't convicted. Then we have this. Matt Walsh says, one thing I'm taking from the Rape Gang report is that British social workers are some of the most evil, sadistic perverts on the planet. A huge number of the most grievous cases of abuse involve a social worker standing by and letting it happen or actively facilitating it. He's exactly right. And at the same time, Mike Davis says that Keir Starmer should be publicly tried and executed, and that is because Keir Starmer was the director of public prosecutions during a lot of this, during this time period, and gave 13,000 suspected Muslim rape gang members and pedophiles, he let them off with a warning. Okay, and that's who the Prime Minister of the British government is right now. Tommy Robinson, make no bones about it, Starmer's regime's online censorship attacks on all fronts are designed to stop more people seeing things like this report on rape gangs shared everywhere, because the more people that see it, the more people, they don't want people to see it because they don't want fathers they don't want fathers balancing their equation in a different way. Right now, it's worth, I don't want to abandon my family. Now it's worth me being here to try to protect and provide. But if they get to the point where it's like, if I do nothing, my family has no future at all. Their grandkids, have no future. If you get to that point, and stuff like this will get men to that point, and just say enough's enough.
Yeah, I don't really give a damn at this point. I have no desire to be friends with someone who is a Muslim. I don't care. Call me a racist. Call me a whatever. I guess that is. What is it?
Islamophobe.
Yeah, I'm an Islamophobe. Call me that. I don't give a damn. I don't want to be friends with you. We don't have enough in common, Paul. We don't have enough in common for me to feel like I need to have a friendly, nice, clean conversation with you, because I know what your ideology is, whether you're following it or not. I know what your ideology is. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Call me this. Call me whatever. I don't give a damn anymore. I have stopped caring whether you try to cancel me or not, Paul. I'm a father. I am a husband. I am a Christian, first and foremost. I'm a business owner. Cancel my business. I don't give a damn. Cancel me. You are a party to an ideology that believes that it is okay to rape women, that women are not equal. My wife is a Christian wife. She is a wife who allows me, I say allows, quotes, end quotes, as the head of the household to make the final decision. Do I yield to her counsel a lot of times when she gives me her counsel? Absolutely. I take her feelings, her opinion into account. Does she tell me what to do? No, she doesn't. She doesn't. She's a biblical wife. Now, do we have disagreements? I'm not trying to sit here and we say we don't have disagreements, but ultimately she knows that I am the decision maker.
The decider.
The decider. She trusts me to make that decision. That is what a Christian, faithful relationship built in Christ should be built on, okay? Muslims do not have that. Women are inferior. Women are less than. You must cover up. You must cover up because you might tempt me to rape you.
Well, yeah.
What the hell are you talking? You're trying to sit here and tell me that you have a religion that is worth following when the women have to be covered up because it might tempt somebody to rape them. Kiss my ass, Paul. Not you personally. Not you. I don't want anybody to kiss my ass. The dog is over here in the corner. He's like, what is going on, Dad? The dog is like, but you want to sit here and tell me that you're a peaceful, calm religion when you encourage the raping of women because they are inferior?
Yeah.
What is Rob mad about today? The fact that we have allowed Muslims to infiltrate this country. Call me racist. I don't give a damn.
So everybody got to look at our mascot for today. He is deciding to leave the room, Rob.
He's like, I'm not a Muslim.
So that was my dog. He's up here today. He was lonely at the house today, so I decided to bring him up here. And
You have a bleach white German Shepherd.
that's right.
He's a handsome fella.
Thank you. Thank you. He's a good. We like him a lot.
it's okay.
See,
Come
now
here.
he's coming over to make sure that you're okay.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, give me some loving.
So, let's see. Maybe he'll get up there. Let's see. There he is. See just a little bit of him. Anyway, so his nickname is Privilege.
Yep.
Since we're on the subject of race, that's what his nickname is. All right. So, real quick, just a few more. I think I got the high point. I want to cover this right. Jamie Bambrick. Hang on one second. Jamie Bambrick. Here we go. He's got eight highlights of exactly what's in this report, just so we're thorough. Okay. Number one, this was a nationwide, not merely local phenomenon. This was never a series of isolated local failures. It was a coordinated nationwide pattern of organized child sexual exploitation that repeated in town after town, city after city, from the far north to the south coast. Okay, number one. So it was everywhere in this country. The scale was enormous, more than anyone dared think. The scale of the crimes committed is staggering. It's been previously established that at the very least 250,000 young white girls have been subjected to repeated rape, gang rape, trafficking, torture, pregnancy, forced Islamic conversion, and a lifelong trauma. The true number is much higher. By the way, this is not only the UK government's fault, but this is also the people's fault. I mean, at some point, previous fathers of this country have voted for this nonsense. They were wooed by the DEI, and they were wooed by this fake religion that is so I mean, yes, they are responsible for this now.
Yeah.
Will they man up? Will they nut up and do something about it? Is another question entirely. As reported, number three, vast majority of perpetrators were Pakistani Muslims. Number four, vulnerable girls were targeted using a consistent method. Quote, organized networks of perpetrators built coordinated operations that transported victims between locations, supplied them with drugs and alcohol, recorded abuse for distribution and blackmail, and passed girls between multiple adult men. Number five, the police and other institutions knew what was happening and ignored it. And that is why, from now on, the next time I see some British, British cop, and, you're taking a protester away, and, we don't have any guns or whatever, but you're taking a protester away, or you're beating him up, or you're doing whatever, you're being unreasonable, or you're going up to him saying, I need to talk to you, sir, about your social media post. You were saying bad things about the Asian man. The next time I see that, I am assuming that man is a rapist and a pedophile enabler. Yep. I'm assuming it, because why are you still there? Why are you still working? Why haven't you quit your job? I mean, if you really disagreed with what's going on right now, there's no way you would be a cop in Great Britain in these police forces.
What's Paul mad about today?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm furious about it.
Oh, I love it, Paul.
You just keep wondering, like, here's a guy that comes up to me. We should have a lot in common. I mean, as I see the videos, should have a lot in common. Mm-hmm. Like that journalist that was just trying to record the other day, and he was on the other side of the barricade where he was supposed to be. And they're like, we need you to stop filming, mate. Listen to me. And I'm like, who is that guy? And how does he look himself in the mirror? Oh, he must be a rapist. Like, that's now what I'm thinking now. Now that the cops are in on it.
You know what? You deserve it.
Yeah,
you deserve
exactly.
it. If you're going to support this type of system, and let's just be honest, if you're walking up to people in public, griping at them for filming things that are happening in public, you are part of the problem. And in my view, and in your view, absolutely. You are just as bad as these rapists, because you are enabling a system. What the hell is the government going to do if the police says, no, we're not going to do that?
Exactly.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to show up when a white man has been stabbed with a sword 5 times and handcuffed the white man because of our sick-ass ideology that says we have to believe the guy in the effing turban. Let me just tell you something. I ain't believing a damn word that someone in a turban speaks to me. Call me a racist. I don't care. You as police officers, just to kind of keep your paycheck going, you're enabling that stuff. So you're just as bad. In my opinion, maybe you're worse because you have a position of authority and you're not even using it.
I agree. And I would also say that the police officers that are trying to, prevent the speech or prosecuting the speech, obviously there's prosecutors doing this, but the ones that are like, don't record this because we don't want more people to find out.
Yeah, we can't have people knowing.
So that's a form of censorship that also gives people no other choice. If you're taking away their choices, that's going to lead to more political violence. Because if you've got these bad policies that are forced upon you and you can't talk about it to organize politically, which I know there's still people like Restore Britain and stuff. I mean, they're trying to organize politically.
Man, there's people trying to fight the good fight.
Yeah, but if you're going against their speech online, which is political organization, then what choice do you have? Okay, not only do I have to put up with the policies, I can't talk about it politically organized without going to jail. Okay, well then guess what? You live in a slave state.
Yeah, you do.
You are a serf, and you got no choice.
Well, I mean, we've already seen this. We've already seen this in the UK, where a woman went on social media bashing the fact that there were these two immigrants. We'll call them immigrants, that came in and raped this young lady, violently raped her, damn near killed her, and they received less than a year in prison. She went on social media and said, why are we allowing these people in the country in the first place? She received 2 years in prison. She got more prison time than the actual rapist. Don't sit here and tell me, Prime Minister, that your country allows free speech. You're full of shit. Sorry, I don't want to try to get us a explicit rating. Sorry about that. But you don't support free speech. You have the gall to stand there and say that you do. If I sit here and say, why are we allowing these people in our country in the first place? It's because a problem was allowed into this country. And they say, well, native-born Americans commit more crimes than immigrants. Okay. Number one, I don't believe that. But number two, all of the crimes committed by illegal immigrants shouldn't have been committed in the first place.
Correct. Laken Riley should still be alive.
Laken Riley should still be alive. That young lady who was raped by two immigrants should still be alive. Well, she should still be, she's alive, but she should be unraped.
Yes.
She should not have had that
Intact.
trauma experience. And we're doing all of this. We're doing all of this. It's not the conservatives, folks. My God, I hope and pray that if my children are ever lost at the zoo, that they find a conservative mom or dad. If they find a liberal mom and dad who has no value for life, and that person just happens to be an evil person, I'm not trying to say that conservatives don't commit crime, but conservatives value life, and I would take my chances with a conservative mom over a liberal mom finding my children.
Yeah, I think conservatives are just more likely to believe in a hierarchy of loves.
Sure.
And liberals are more suicidal, civilizational, suicidal. But here's the quote.
Jocelyn Nungry, Wanda in our comments talking about Jocelyn Nungry. He was violently raped by these two individuals against a post, and she was 12, 13 years old when this stuff happened. None of this stuff should have happened, and it shouldn't.
What William Wallace
in the UK.
did. I mean, in Braveheart, what William Wallace does when he takes the initial keep, he takes the prima nocta guy, and puts him on a post himself. Mm-hmm. And it's over.
It's over.
These are the data points, the reference points that people are starting to think about because of this. Police forces ignored repeated reports, criminalized victims instead of perpetrators, destroyed evidence, allowed known rapists to walk free on bail, Social care services undermine protective parents, place children in trafficking hubs inside children's homes, closed cases despite clear indicators of exploitation, and retaliated against whistleblowers. The NHS recorded genital injuries, multiple sexually transmitted infections in children as young as 13, pregnancies caused by rape, and suicide attempts, yet discharged victims back to their abusers without safeguarding referrals or trauma care. Schools observed older men collecting girls at the gates, heard disclosures of rape on school premises, and responded by excluding victims rather than protecting them. Number 6, those in these institutions did so because they were afraid of being called racist. Quote, political correctness, fear of accusations of racism, and fear of losing electoral support from certain demographics have taken precedent over the protection of British children. Repent. Number 7, parts of the foster and orphan care system became exploitation hotspots. Children's homes became trafficking hubs where staff failed to stop older men collecting girls at night. Local authorities often returned children to unsafe homes and placements despite repeated disclosures of grooming. Social care across England systematically enabled organized grooming and rape of children. Children's services, local authorities, foster cares, children's homes, and independent units repeatedly returned vulnerable children to known risk. Multiple offenders explicitly linked to their treatment of these girls with their own religious and cultural beliefs of the girls' white ethnicity. Listen to this, though, because I'm just kind of having an aha moment, but it's not a very bright aha moment because I should have thought of this a long time ago. Jeffrey Epstein, the 30,000-foot conspiracy about Epstein is a blackmail operation, but that we basically our entire all Western democracies are run by an elite network of pedophiles who worship the devil. And all I'm saying is, I'm just making, like, what would make you turn a blind eye to your own citizens' children being raped by the Muslims that you immigrated here? Oh, I don't know, because you just don't think there's anything wrong with it. Has nothing to do with DEI. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with literally the point of the immigration in the first place. It's the feature, right? It's the feature. Yeah. It's not some, addition. It's the feature. Is to terrorize, rape, and murder the population you claim to serve. That's where I'm at now. I really am. I'm done with the benefit of the doubt. These people are actively warring against their own people.
Yeah, get the hell out. Here's what I'll say this. You said something in the middle of that maybe this is just really unchristian-like for me, Paul. You said these people need to repent. I'm going to say this. I don't want them to repent.
Well, so did that's Jonah. That's a Jonah for sure.
You're not telling the only one. I'm telling you, I don't want these individuals to repent and turn their life around. I want them to die a painful death and then stand before the pearly gates and have our God say, "Depart from me, for I never knew you. Go to the fiery pits of hell," because there is no reconciling your soul. You abused children. You deserve every bit of torment for the rest of eternity in hell. That's the way I feel.
No, I mean,
it can't be Christian-like, and because I should pray for the souls of everybody.
Here's the deal.
But I can't do it.
I get it. I get what you're saying 100%. And that, Jonah did not want Nineveh to repent, I think, for similar reasons. Jesus is clear in 2 of the Gospels. It would be better for a millstone to be hung around your neck and thrown into the depths of the sea than to cause one of these little children to stumble. And that's exactly what they've done. So I totally understand that. And by the way, I would also say if there was, the Muslims should repent as well. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't face earthly consequences. By the way, I was more talking about honestly about the white British people,
the government
that has allowed it to happen.
Yeah,
like even the people that have voted for this, and maybe we should throw this back on America. How many politicians have we voted for that continue to just hand us a crap sandwich and tell us it's turkey.
Yeah.
And then we're going to vote for him the same way over and over again. How many times? And a lot of it's media manipulation. The same. Sorry. The same.
He's here.
Sorry, the dog's here. The same type of media manipulation.
He heard something
that goes on here also goes on there. So I mean, there is some of that true brainwashing. Sorry, that scared me to death. He scared me to death.
He got me. You know what? It's a good guard dog.
Yeah. There he is. So,
Ethan, take care of it.
Anyway, so apologies. But yeah, I mean that's what I was talking about. I was talking
it's the system that allows and honestly encourages the evil to persist.
Yeah.
You're as bad or worse than the evil itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
100%. Well, all right, let's reset, take a break. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Sorry about that disruption. But don't go anywhere.
Dogs protect us, man.
Hey, that's right.
What we're doing.
That's what we like it. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to be back here in just a moment. This is the Paul Hero Program, broadcasting here on LFA TV and the Paul Hero Program YouTube. Thanks for watching.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
I had 5 units that I purchased for the practice right out of the chute. Well, those went the first week that I got back to Houston. So then we ordered another 5 and then another 5. And I think over the next, 6 to 8 weeks, we had ordered like 35 units. And they're gone. They're still gone out of the practice. So we're excited about moving more of these units for our patients because they need them. And so when you bring in new technology and your staff's thinking, oh, this is another thing that I need to handle during the day, I think it's a good idea to give them a little incentive. And I do it as a team. So if one person does well, the whole team does well. So they all support each other. And they got really excited about that. They love it. They'll bring a unit in, turn it on, put it on the patient's foot or leg, and they'll tell the patients, be sure to talk to Dr. Parker about red light therapy. And the patient will say, red light therapy, yeah, I've heard of that, And so I'll walk in and my nurse is she'll tell me, I've spoken to Mrs. Jones about this red light therapy, and she's really excited about it. So Red Vive has been fantastic for our bottom line.
This is our family dog, Bubba. He is a Shorty Jack Russell, and he brings a lot of love and laughter into our home. We just want to thank Pet Club for making healthy food and treats for our animals. Bubba has been on Pet Club food for a little over a year now. He really likes the Sequoia dry food, and then I put a scoop of the Sequoia wet dog food in there with some hot water and stir it up, and he absolutely loves it. And he likes the mush puppies, but his ultimate favorite is the antlers. Those keep him busy for a really long time, and he really likes them. It makes us feel really good that the food and treats that we give him have healthy ingredients in them because we want him to be around for a really long time. Our previous dog was a lab, and his name was Titus, and we fed him in bulk, and we would just get his food from the big box grocery stores. And unfortunately, that food wasn't very healthy for him, and he ended up getting cancer and passing away. So we didn't want to make that mistake with Bubba. So we were really fortunate to find Pet Club and find some really healthy food for him to eat. So we would just like to thank Pet Club, and we just really appreciate the healthy food that they make so we can keep this guy around as long as we can.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for being with us. Broadcasting from the great state of Arkansas, and brisket prices are still too high. Vice President J.D. Vance went on Megyn Kelly's show and talked about this memorandum of understanding that has now, I think, been made public. President Trump is overseas. He gave additional remarks today about the memorandum of understanding. So we're going to listen to that. But first, let's actually go to that's the first thing we should do is we're going to go to Vice President J.D. Vance and this is from William Wolf, that J.D. Vance devastatingly exposes the forever war bloodlust of the neocons. Again, this was J.D. Vance going on Megyn Kelly's podcast. Listen to this.
I think that fundamentally, if you look at what they're proposing an endless conflict. They want this to go on until every bomb has been dropped or until every Iranian is dead. That is not what the President of the United States wants. What he said is, I said about this to end their nuclear program, to eliminate their ability to threaten their neighbors and project power, and to fundamentally make sure that no future child would have to deal with a terrorist regime with an atomic bomb. That's why the president set out to do this. He feels, and he's right, that he's accomplished that goal, and now we can get to the negotiation to see what are the other benefits that we can get from this, and frankly, what are the benefits the Iranians could get from this if they behave. I just don't think that people who are criticizing this, one, they're not actually dealing with the reality of what's in it, and number two, they don't have an alternative. If your alternative is just to drop bombs without any clear goal or any clear American interest implicated, then you're not making the wise decisions on behalf of the American people. The president is, and that's...
So I was trying to say this a little bit yesterday on the show. I don't know if you heard any of it, but basically, and this may be a little different than some of the spin that we may get, from whatever this deal turns out to be, whether or not it gets signed. By the way, J.D. Vance, pray for him, as he's the one I think going to be at the signing ceremony. Just pray for his safety.
Sure.
Okay.
In Switzerland.
But you got to wonder, the cards are the cards, and there were people that warned against doing this in the first place because I think they realized, hey, Iran's not Iraq. They've been planning for this for 50 years, and the Strait of Hormuz just is what it is. The cards are the cards. The economic cost is the economic cost. And President Trump is now saying at the G7, he's like, look, we're going to have a global depression if the strait's not opened. And, this is a memorandum of understanding to a future understanding. This isn't even really an agreement. This is a memorandum of understanding to agree to something in the future, like 60 days from now. Mm-hmm. So, the neocons are not happy about this.
Well, and J.D. Vance was talking about it. I believe it was on, was it with Jake Tapper? I'm not really sure who it was. He's making the rounds.
Wasn't CNN. Yeah, he's got a book out called... well, I don't even know what it is now. Communion. His book is called Communion: Finding My Way Back to Faith, because he was an atheist.
Sure. So he's been, I think he was on with Jake Tapper, and he was talking about just very much this similar topic, the criticism of the deal, when they don't really even know truly what's in there, right? Because that official memorandum of understanding was not released right away, and so everybody was just kind of left with the Mark Levins of the world. We didn't destroy him.
Yeah,
we didn't do this. We didn't blow him off the planet.
I got some serious questions about this deal, Mr. Producer. I don't really know. I don't really care for that Jack Posobiec guy anymore. He just seems like he needs to be fired from Turning Point USA.
It sounds like Jack Posobiec is, and I follow him all the time. He's fantastic. So I'm gonna be inclined to agree with Jack Posobiec more than I'm gonna with Mark Levin.
Well, you must be an anti-Semite then, Rob. Sorry.
You know what? I just don't believe that you wipe out a country. Call me crazy, but just don't blow the whole country apart, as the United States could do, or really any world power could do. Russia, China, all these places could blow Iran off the map. You just don't do that. But anyway, so J.D. Vance was talking about, he's like, I think it's just really where people need to take a heed of caution here is that, so what do you do if you're negotiating a deal and you're Iran? You're going to minimize the concessions that you have to make, and you're going to highlight the things that you get.
Exactly.
Right, and that's what everybody's talking about. Apparently they get $300 billion. J.D. Vance says it's not American money, because that's what's being reported. You have stupid-ass liberals who literally just are mindless shills. They don't know anything. Well, and if this were Obama, they'd be like, oh, great, we're giving them $300 billion. They don't care. That's right. So you have all these people that just don't know anything, and they're saying, oh, well, you're giving them $300 billion. Well, we're not giving them tax-paying dollars to to end this war. And let's just be honest, you're the same people that were totally fine with sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine.
Yeah.
You know, to keep a war going it's just inevitable. Russia's going to get what they want to get.
And I think what it's going to be is loans from these other Gulf Arab states. They're going to give them loans, and the United States is agreeing to allow the loans.
But what are those loans going to be? They're investments in the nation of Iran.
Exactly. I mean, you know, they're destroyed.
It is, hey, we will rebuild this. We will do this. We will do that. Like, do you want commerce?
Do you want the Strait open or not?
Do you want this?
I mean,
do you want the 500, what do they make, $500 billion a day through the Strait of Hormuz? So it's like, do you want this stuff? Yes. If you do, then here are the criteria that you have to meet. And so that's all J.D. Vance is talking about. And he's like, is everybody sitting here ripping on it because there wasn't a regime change war?
That would have either, like you said, meant a nuclear weapon or, you know, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 troops or something, whatever.
More.
And you know, potentially a 10-year commitment.
Correct.
Or a 30-year commitment or whatever. And it's just like, what do you want? What do you want? The cards are the cards. You're the one. And honestly, I think all of this was, you know, according to the reporting that has come out, you know, this was pitched as being way easier than it was going to be. There were advisors that said this is not going to be. Yeah, we can kill, Khomeini. That's easy. We can totally do that. But can we actually take over the country of Iran? And people, and I think Israel was essentially saying once we get the U.S. in, they won't be able to get out, and we will eventually commit ground troops, or we'll drop a nuke or whatever.
Because what have you noticed, Paul, over the last week in terms of Trump's attitude toward Bibi?
He is calling him out, and he's saying, "Look, you can't govern the way you're governing."
He's over it. Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are, just trying to say, well, the only reason we got into this is because of Jared Kushner, and Jared Kushner being the husband of
who knows? I don't know. Maybe.
Of Ivanka Trump, and so you look at it and say, well, Ivanka has always been the apple of his eye. So Jared Kushner, who is incredibly smart by all accounts and has negotiated, he negotiated. Jared Kushner brought the Abraham Accords about during Trump 1.0. That is really without any sort of debate, and he's Jewish. And so, a lot of people are like, oh, well, this is all about his loyalty to his daughter and Jared Kushner. What I saw over the last week is what you and I have been sort of frustrated about over the last, do we just have blind loyalty to Israel? Is that what we're doing? And I think Trump's just like, I'm over it, man. I'm over it. I tried to help you out. Let's end this thing.
Yep.
If Iran will do this, and this, then I'm out. I'm done with it.
This is what President Trump said. And yesterday he said, we covered the comments yesterday where he said, Bibi, you don't have to blow up an entire building just because one person from, you don't have to blow up an entire building because there's innocent people in the building, when you're war. And you don't have to attack Beirut. You're not even attacking southern Lebanon. You're now attacking Beirut, which is in the middle of the country. Very critical of Bibi Netanyahu. Of course, 2 weeks ago, he called him an effing idiot for another attack into Lebanon.
Sure.
So he's been very critical. And by the way, I'll reiterate, yes, you can now disagree with the government of Israel and not be an anti-Semite and also not be for Sharia law in Iran. Because Donald Trump has done it. Donald Trump is literally doing that.
I'm far closer to agreeing with Israel than I am Sharia law from Iran. I'm far closer to that. But I can also disagree with some of those things.
Yeah.
Some of the decisions that were made. Now, I will say that with the caveat that I don't have the intelligence that, Bibi Netanyahu has, or certainly President Trump has. But just from the outside looking in, I can disagree with some of this stuff and say, yeah, you after October 7th, you had every right to defend yourself.
Well,
but there has to be some limits here.
So Trump, and that's the thing. Trump talking about the buildings yesterday, you don't have to take out a whole building. Not everybody's a human shield, and that also is a direct critique, not a direct critique, but it is an indirect critique of also what they did in Gaza.
Yeah.
And so yesterday he also said, I
don't believe, and here's the thing, Paul, I'm going to say this. I don't believe that Gaza is as a genocide.
Oh, I 100% believe it was a genocide.
Yeah, so I believe that it wasn't. I believe that it was Israel defending itself and trying to eliminate this persistent threat. But to what end? Because if this threat is going to keep coming, can we just find peace now and move on?
Well, yeah, it was.
That's just my opinion.
I think in order to do that, their calculation was we have to annihilate everybody. But
yeah.
Anyway, Donald Trump said if it wasn't for him and America, Israel wouldn't exist, which made Mark Levin very mad, and says that it owes its existence to God Almighty. So there's a lot of people
that's
that
biblical,
have been,
Paul.
There's
You
well
disagree with that.
every
You disagree with
country
that.
every country owes
Oh,
its existence
well,
to
it
God
does. That's
Almighty.
true.
Every single one.
That's true.
But I'm not a dispensationalist. And even David Limbaugh. So Trump says if it weren't for the United States of America, then Israel would not exist right now. So David Limbaugh is a very very much a Zionist guy, Rush Limbaugh's brother, and so he's like, what the hell is going on? This is kind of very trying for them. They don't agree with Trump here. Here's Trump from earlier today.
Hezbollah. I'm not saying they shouldn't protect themselves. I'm saying when 2 drones are shot into the desert and drop harmlessly, you don't have to knock down buildings in Beirut. They could behave better. And frankly, they could do a better job. I love them as a partner. They were terrific. But they could do a much better job with Hezbollah. On that, I don't think they're doing well. And I feel very bad for Lebanon. Lebanon's been, it was a great culture. They had the professors, the doctors. Hezbollah. I'm not saying they shouldn't protect them.
That's the 35-second clip.
That's the crux of it. But so
I thought I had a longer clip. I do have a longer.
Yeah.
Can we listen to the longer clip?
Okay.
Because that I played the wrong one.
Amazing Prime Minister. We have a little dispute over Lebanon. I say you can do a little softer touch, Bibi. You don't have to knock down a building every time somebody walks into it that's from Hezbollah. But it's been an amazing partnership. But he will say, we're the big partner, and he's the very small partner, and that's true. So he came to the country, and he begged Barack Hussein Obama, the president, not to do the JCPOA. He said it could be the end of Israel, and it would have been if I didn't come along. And Obama didn't listen to him. Bibi actually went to Congress and pleaded with them, and he got nowhere. And they had this horrible deal that was horrible for Israel, and that's where it stood. And then I came along and I terminated that deal. It had very little time left. It was a short-term deal. With countries, you need hundreds of years. You don't need 8 years and 9 years. This isn't like you're signing a lease on a candy store at the corner. You need hundreds of years. This was a short-term lease. It expired long ago. Had I let it run, it expired. You wouldn't have been around. A lot of people wouldn't have been around. But Israel would have been terminated. I think the whole Middle East would have been terminated. You saw that when everybody...
So he's essentially kind of defending his previous statement from yesterday about Israel would be very.
Well,
go ahead. I was just saying he's basically saying, look, Israel wouldn't exist if it wasn't for me.
A couple of things here, Paul. Trump sounds tired. Obviously, this has been a long. He's ready. He was ready for this thing to be over, And but the critics want to go and say, well, he's tired because he's old. You want to sit there and tell me that is an 80-year-old Trump that's the equivalent of an 80-year-old Joe Biden. This guy knows what the hell he knows exactly what he's saying. Joe Biden was reading off a teleprompter, shaking hands with dead people. That he's like, hey, is Janet here tonight? Oh, Janet's dead. Yeah, man, that's literally what we experienced under Joe Biden. So don't sit here and try to say that this man doesn't have it. I think he had a goal. He wanted to support Israel. I think he felt like after October 7th that the United States should. Yes, 1,200 people, whether you believe that count or not, that's what the reports are, that 1,200 people were slaughtered in one day. And so if that's the case, then Israel has every right to defend itself because that is the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. And so they had every right to do this. United States, considering Israel one of its greatest allies, certainly its main ally in the Middle East, Like, hey, we're going to support you on all of this stuff, but Trump's over it. It's affecting the United States citizen more than what he wanted it to affect them. And that's, I think every bit of what he's saying there is to Bibi Netanyahu is just like, knock it off, dude. Knock it off. Let's get to a peace deal. October 7th was 2 years ago, 3 years ago almost at this point, right? Because it was
in the Biden administration.
Right. It was 2024. It was the last year of the Biden administration. He's like, let's move on. Let's move on from this, and let's put protocols in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again anytime soon. Not 8 years from now, not 9 years from now. Let's see if we can set an agreement for the next couple of 100 years. It may be naive. It may be.
It may all fall apart tomorrow.
Every bit of it.
Every
bit of it may fall apart before this is signed on Friday. But regardless, as an American citizen who's tired of paying too much in gas, we needed this to be over.
Also, food prices are
food prices and your brisket and all of that stuff. You know. So anyway, I as an American citizen who just wants this to be over, I'm glad that he's taking this hardline stance.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, it's the last 2 days have been a breath of fresh air on that, and we'll see what happens. And here's the other thing that can happen, and this you know, if the neocons don't like this memorandum of understanding, I think they would like. Maybe they wouldn't, but I think they would like much less if we don't get anything. I mean, at any point, we could just leave.
Sure.
I mean, at any point, we don't have to have any memorandum of understanding.
Yeah.
We could literally end the blockade and just all come home right now, you know, and just
be done with it.
Just be done with it, right? So,
well, we could do that. We could do that with our support for Ukraine. We could do that with our literally.
Well, and I said yesterday, I've got this. I got a feeling that what this is really about, memorandum of understanding is really about, is normalizing relations with Iran. Normalizing relations in that the sanctions go away and Iran's allowed to be Iran. That's what the agreement says, that we will respect their sovereignty, and that so if Iran is allowed to be Iran and you have somewhat normal relations and they're allowed to get loans and they're allowed to, you know, rebuild their economy, how do you not have normalized relations with Russia? Because it seems like it would be a technical step easier to have normal relations with Russia and in the Ukraine conflict if you have normal relations or somewhat normal relations.
Yeah,
with
if you're having dinner with the devil, you know, you know, like having dinner with Russia seems pretty mild in comparison.
Yeah, and so I think that's what this is at play here. I mean, I honestly, and I don't necessarily know if it was 5D chess. I don't really, but I think what could come out of this. I mean, honestly, what could come out of this is like we end NATO because Trump's mad that NATO didn't have our back, so we could get rid of NATO, which is ridiculous.
I'm totally fine with getting that.
There's a good chance that the Gulf states don't let us rebuild our bases there that have been hit because it's kind of a liability. I mean, the fact that if anything ever pops off again, like those states are now targets. If we don't have bases there, maybe they're not targets as much. There's a lot of different calculations that are. This is a shift, and what I mean by that is some people will be like, "Well, is that not a good thing?" Well, if you're an American that like me, that it's just like, "Hey, let's bring our troops home." You know, let's not get involved in foreign entanglements. Yes, let's pull out of NATO because the circumstances that created NATO are not anywhere close to what they were with the Soviet Union. So what we could end up having out of this, and I'm being way too optimistic, I get it, but we could have just a total shifting of the global order in a lot of ways where, you know, you have more of a hemispheric dominance, you know, and the United States is dominant in this hemisphere. And, you know, you also have China as a big component in this as well. So,
or we have more of a stranglehold on that country than what they want, or certainly that we had before all of this started. It could be on the negative side of it. It could be more of an entanglement of what's happening.
No, it could.
There.
Yeah, it could.
I hope that's not the case. But at the same time, I also hope I'm glad that the United States, if you believe everything that J.D. Vance has said, and I have no reason to doubt him. You know, like if you believe all of that stuff, then Iran has to basically, they got to ask for permission to wipe their butt. You know. You know, that's like, hey, we'll let you live, we'll let you be a sovereign nation, but you better not sneeze without us knowing about it.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we have much more of a grip on the Middle East than we had, 6 months ago.
Yeah. Well,
So we'll see. I don't know.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what actually
Who
transpires.
the heck knows?
So President Trump, who was previously against FISA and would post things saying end FISA.
Yeah, well, hold up, real quickly. Somebody was saying that Trump sounds sick in the that when he was speaking to G7, and a lot of people are like, well, it could be allergies. Sophie in our comment said it could be allergies. I'm like, I'm with you on that. Well, I sound like crap in the first of the day.
Well,
like in the morning, I sound terrible.
Yeah, he sounded totally different yesterday. I will say that. Like, to me, the clip we played yesterday, I said this when we played it. He was sitting there, I think, next to the Qatari guy. Dude, it was his attitude about this whole thing, and it wasn't just because he was, speaking truth about Benjamin Netanyahu, although maybe that's what it was. He sounded fresh to me yesterday. And maybe he's got,
Well, it could be later in the day, like the allergy medicine kicked in.
He doesn't sleep, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just
he
doesn't sleep. So,
okay.
Trump was against FISA. Now he's for FISA, but there's now even new developments. He's for FISA, but he's got conditions, and he wants
With
the SAVE
caveats.
Act.
This
and
one's
this
huge.
is actually very incredible.
This is big.
And he's hitting the Senate, and he's hitting John Thune
I think he's over it.
right in the mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so Unseen One says, no other president has given the people such insight into how the sausage is made. Watching the Trump administration is like taking a master class in political science. President Trump says the Republicans agreed with Democrats to remove very fair and talented William Pulte from serving as acting DNI in return for getting FISA approved by the Democrats. However, Republicans moved so fast with the hearings of the great Jay Clayton, currently the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, that Pulte would be gone before the Democrats would vote on FISA. Now, the Democrats are saying that they will vote against FISA. So, the Republicans wound up having fulfilled their commitment, but Democrats broke the deal. In addition, the newly nominated U.S. Attorney Jamie McDonald must be confirmed and blue-slipped. Because of the ridiculous views of Republicans on blue-slipping, Democrats are often willing to nix it. I may not be able to get the extraordinary Sullivan and Cromwell partner Jamie approved, and I don't want to take Jay Clayton away from the great job he is doing until Jamie is in place. Therefore, to add a slight bit of intrigue, but for the good of the nation and the people of the country, I will not approve FISA without the Save America Act going along with it. Not complicated, actually. The Republicans fell into a trap. Regarding the approval of our great patriot Jay Clayton, we are canceling the Senate hearing re-DNI today and will not be going forward until Jamie McDonald is approved to be U.S. Attorney. In the meantime, Bill Pulte will remain as acting director of national intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Both sides of the party do not want Pulte anywhere near that job, which makes me want him there even more. And I don't really know a lot about Pulte.
Me either, but
it makes me say, okay, they really don't want this guy there. So on this topic, it's interesting because our original analysis was that of Conservative Treehouse Last Refuge, which was Pulte is just a placeholder to get past the midterms. And then you could appoint whoever you want. Now he's gone ahead and has appointed Jay Clayton, but you never know. You get past the midterms, maybe you pull that nomination and instead you nominate somebody else, especially if he's now setting it up to where if they don't confirm Jamie McDonald, the new attorney for SDNY, then you can see a scenario where we actually don't know who the DNI is going to be, and it could still be our Congressman Rick Crawford. He could still get the nomination after the midterms.
In my opinion, so you know what Collins and Murkowski is going to do in the Senate. The wild card, unfortunately, is Mitch McConnell and
who's in the hospital, I think.
Yeah, and some fourth Republican to make J.D. Vance's vote not count, right? Because we've got a 53 to 47 vote. So if we lose Murkowski, if we lose Senator Collins, and we lose Mitch McConnell, who needs to go out to pasture, literally and figuratively, then what do we have? We've got a 50-50 Senate. J.D. Vance is going to vote with the majority or, with the Republicans and do what he's supposed to do. But if they can swing one other person, because Mitch McConnell at this point, I just feel like he's just not worried about his reputation. He's not worried about his legacy. He's worried about stopping Trump. He's never liked Trump.
I think McConnell's worried about whether or not he's wearing a fresh diaper or not. Honestly, I don't even know if that guy knows he's in the room.
Well, maybe he's the one pulling the strings, or maybe John Thune here is using Mitch McConnell as, hey, here's your bad guy. Here's your bad guy. Let's throw it up there. You know, John Thune goes, well, Mitch, if I vote for this or vote against this, it's going to look bad for me. But if you vote against it because you're not running for re-election, you know, you're not the majority leader anymore, or minority, depending on whatever term you're in. Like, you don't have that cloud anymore. Let you be the bad guy and stop Trump. And that's what a lot of people feel like, especially with Scott Presler, with the persistence, talking about the attack on John Thune and his lack of leadership. We've seen just an extreme lack of leadership from John Thune, and it came to, like, he was, when you're Mitch McConnell's handpicked successor, then you're already in a hole with me. You know.
Yeah.
I will always be thankful for Mitch McConnell to have a majority Supreme Court right now. The reason that we have a 6-3, well, really 5.5 to 3.5, you know, because who knows what John Roberts is going to do. But I will always be thankful, you know, for him putting on, you know, so he put on Gorsuch, and he put on
Kavanaugh and Barrett.
Kavanaugh, and then of course Barrett was the you know, so I was Gorsuch the last one on.
I think Barrett was the last one on.
Okay, good. Yeah, and she's been good, although I've disagreed
Gorsuch
with
was
her.
first, and then Kavanaugh. And they really,
yeah, that one was bad.
They did
and then
everything
Amy Coney Barrett. Yeah. So anyway, I will always be thankful for him for having that majority, because we think about where would this country be had we not had a 6-3 Supreme Court or 5.5 to 3.5 Supreme Court. But regardless, I'm rambling. I think that John Thune is using Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, he's not a good guy.
Yeah, he's using Mitch McConnell to be the puppet master to stop Trump.
He doesn't want Trump's agenda.
He does not want Save America Act. He's made that perfectly clear.
Yeah.
Because he could have had this passed a long time ago. And so Trump's going to keep trying to work this in however he can. He's going to.
You want to spy on Americans? Give me election integrity.
There you go. You know what? And since they're already going to spy on us anyway, then I'm good with it.
Yeah, which they are. You are exactly right, Rob.
So,
Leader Thune, we need to get FISA Section 702 program reauthorized quickly so that the intelligence community has the tools they need to keep Americans safe. What a joke! What a joke that is. Does anyone really believe that anymore?
But look at his ratios. His ratios are almost always on the negatives, right? And so you look at your heart, you know, which is a like on tweets, and normally this ratio is a lot worse. But your comments, if your comments are more than your heart,
right,
then that is an indicator.
Yeah,
look at the.
You're so worthless.
Yeah, look at just. I mean, I bet if you read through some of these comments.
What about keeping American elections safe by passing the SAVE Act? What about that? That's got 5.9 thousand likes to his 992 likes.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's absolutely insane. Now on that, let me see if I have the next one. So it was interesting because after Trump posted this comment about, hey, there's not going to be a Senate hearing.
Yeah, nothing to see here, folks.
You had some of these people, neocons, like, oh, but he doesn't have the authority to cancel a Senate hearing. So Tom Cotton even put out, like 19 minutes after the statement, Senator Cotton was like, we're still going forward with the hearing unless Trump pulls a nominee. Well, then finally, Tom Cotton got the memo and says, it's regrettable that the president has directed Jay Clayton not to appear at his confirmation hearing today. Mr. Clayton is a patriot, highly qualified nominee, as the president has said repeatedly. While today's hearing is now unfortunately postponed, I look forward to proceeding with his confirmation in the near future. Well, then let's start lobbying for the SAVE Act. I mean, if you really want your guy as the head spy, that I fear is actually just going to do whatever the CIA says and not do at all what Tulsi Gabbard was doing, which was hold people accountable, then you got to pass the SAVE Act. What an interesting rock and a hard place.
How dare we hold this over your head, what the American people, 87% of the American people want. Look at that ratio right there, Paul.
Okay, so he's got 999 likes, but 3.8 8,000.
So he's got 1,000 likes and 4,000 comments.
Yeah,
if
he's
you wanted to
getting
read through these
roasted.
4,000 comments, I guarantee you it's going to be exactly what you and I are saying. Pass the Save
Yeah, I mean,
America
look
Act.
at this one. Hey, Tommy, you personally screwed President Trump and the citizens of America by your vote to keep Senate open and prevent recess appointments. Only president in history, right? That
Only president
can't do recess.
Tell me
appointments.
why President Trump can't get recess appointments. Every president, including Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Nursing Home Biden, have had recess appointments. Why does President Trump not get that? What is President Trump going to do? He's going to appoint conservative judges to all of these vacant courts all across the United States. That is what we want as conservatives. What the hell is wrong with you? Allow him to do that.
Yep.
You just want to have your checks and balances. You don't want him to put a radical in there. You're the radical.
Well, it just shows you they don't really. I mean, they don't care about their own voters.
Well, you're the radical because Donald Trump received 77 million votes.
Yep.
He received, I think, probably that much or more in 2020. He won that election. Joe Biden did get 81 million votes, and he won in 2016. So this man has won the presidency 3 times.
Yep.
So I can disagree with.
They refuse to do what the people want.
I can disagree with some of the things that Trump says and tweets and all of that stuff. I can disagree with all that, but I agree with.
But we're even beyond all that.
Yeah,
just
I
like
agree
we're
with his
beyond-
actions.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was resoundingly elected by the American people, and they put you in charge of the Senate and they put you in charge of the House, and you're crap in the bed. We only have one strong bit of legislation that has passed in the last year and a half, and that is the big beautiful bill. I get that there's a lot of stuff in there, right? There's a lot of ingredients in that recipe. I get all of that stuff, but where's your next big victory? It is what have you done for me lately? Trump is getting some victories. In my opinion, he's getting some victories with all of this stuff, but any executive order he signed can easily be undone.
They still haven't banned child genital mutilation and codified.
Why the hell has that not happened?
Because the donors don't want it.
Yeah, if you don't codify all of his executive actions while you have this majority, then what you are doing is saying, screw you, American people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that you put us in power. We're going to do what we're going to do, and you're going to do what you're going to do, which means that the American people are going to put Democrats back in charge, and we saw what that will do.
Yeah, so
I'm not ready for
They
it.
don't really care about us having to live under Democrat rule. I mean, it's the same that Senate Majority Leader in South Carolina at the local level. We need a vibrant Democrat Party, to
Bullshit.
It's like, man, I'm sorry. You just fundamentally don't understand what time it is. Like,
Tell me what advantage it has to having an Abigail Spanberger, being the Democrat governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Like, tell me what advantage Republicans have to having her in office, in power. Zero. Because literally everything that they stand for, she is against. And her big money donors are pulling the strings to make it happen. Well, that's just one example.
yeah.
If your Democrat donors are in favor of child mutilation and gender mutilation and women, partial birth abortions and all of the, like, you can go through the laundry list of sexualizing third graders, all of that stuff. Like, you can go through that laundry list. If that's what your politician is in favor of, then tell me how they're going to benefit your life as a parent. They're not. They're going to destroy your life, and they're going to destroy your ability to parent your children in a safe environment.
I completely agree. So what do we do with John Thune? Well, Ivan Raiklin caught up with Senator John Hoeven, who is the U.S. Senator for North Dakota, and posed to him this very interesting question about J.D. Vance just taking over the Senate permanently.
Senator? Hey, Ivan Raiklin, just one quick question. What do you think would happen if J.D. Vance came in as the president of the Senate into the chambers and essentially said that I'm taking over the chambers as the senior constitutional officer, and we're going to hold a vote for the Save America Act, and if nothing happens with that, he'll just basically stay at the rostrum until that occurs, and no other activity within the Senate chambers will take place unless the Save America Act is passed.
I'm not going to speculate on stuff like that. I mean,
I guess how would the response be?
I guess if that happened, I guess we'd deal with it accordingly at the time. We'd like to pass Save America, and we like JD. We think he's a great guy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So you're telling me there's a chance? We were just joking about having a clean diaper with Mitch McConnell. If that were to happen, J.D. Vance would need to invest in some diapers.
Could he do that without the? There's this whole cloture thing.
Constitutionally, he's
the president of the Senate.
He's the guy.
And so
it makes no sense to even have a majority leader, honestly.
Yeah, he can go to the floor of the Senate tomorrow and say, we're going to vote on the House bill that was sent up months ago.
This is mine. Yeah, he can.
He can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't understand why he doesn't
and force them, get them all on the record so we can get our primary candidates ready for them to freak out. Because that's what this isn't about. This is against the process. And J.D. Vance can say, actually, no, I am representing the American people and not Washington, D.C. Get on board or get run over by the train.
So there's two ways of doing it, in my opinion, Paul. There is announcing it ahead of time, and then you got to really push people on the no attending, no votes, and abstaining and all of that stuff. So you say, hey, this next coming Thursday, we're gonna be voting on this. As the president of the Senate, J.D. Vance, this is what I'm doing. We're gonna be voting on this. If you do not show up for a vote, you're going to be considered a no vote, and we're gonna sick Scott Presler on you.
Yeah.
And Scott Presler, if you're naive to believe that Scott Presler doesn't have the power to put you out of office, you are naive to the you're going to lose your job, and you deserve to lose your job, because Scott Presler has a following. When you look at it, Scott Presler posts on every John Thune tweet, and John Thune will have certain number of likes and certain number of comments. Scott Presler's is 3, 4, 10 times as many. That's how many people are following this man. He is wanting to spread conservatism. And so that's what's happening. We're going to sick Scott Presler on you if you are not at this vote. If you come and you're a no vote, then you're basically signing up to send Scott Presler to your state. That's what's going to happen. But if you come and you say, yes, I vote with the will of the American people, that is going to be a resounding thing through the nation, and it should be. And what are we talking about? It's June 17th at this point. Yeah. I mean, is there any chance, if it doesn't happen soon, is there any chance for the midterms? It may, even if it happened today, I don't know that there's a chance for the midterms.
You got to assume it's going to get challenged in court, and that's the thing. We've waited so long on this. I don't even know. I don't even know at this point if it would even make a difference. I really have no idea. You're going to have some judge saying there's not enough time to implement your new ban on mail-in voting and voter ID. It's going to be crazy. It should still happen to try to see roll the dice and see what happens. But it is interesting though that he is attaching FISA now to. He's saying, look, I'll support FISA, but if you really want it, and you know what, I can't wait, because it's going to happen. There's going to be some rhino Republican. By the way, Mike Lauber over at Ex American News this morning, I was on his show, and he coined the term. I'd never heard it before. I told him I was going to steal it. He gave me permission. Trans Republicans. So these are Republicans these are actually Democrats that identify as Republicans.
Okay.
So there'll be some trans Republican that's going to get up there and say, Donald Trump is playing with your national security. Mark my words, it's going to happen. If it hasn't already, it's going to happen soon. Let's take a quick break, reset here, and we're going to be back here, wrap up the show, talk about Major League Baseball. They're in a little bit of a pickle because they don't like Bible verses during Pride Month. They don't want their players to stand up for biblical sexuality. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Back in just a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with red vine.
I had 5 units that I purchased for the practice right out of the chute. Well, those went the first week that I got back to Houston. So then we ordered another 5 and then another 5. And I think over the next, 6 to 8 weeks, we had ordered like 35 units. And they're gone. They're still gone out of the practice. So we're excited about moving more of these units for our patients because they need them. And so when you bring in new technology and your staff's thinking, oh, this is another thing that I need to handle during the day, I think it's a good idea to give them a little incentive. And I do it as a team. So if one person does well, the whole team does well. So they all support each other. And they got really excited about that. They love it. They'll bring a unit in, turn it on, put it on the patient's foot or leg, and they'll tell the patients, be sure to talk to Dr. Parker about red light therapy. And the patient will say, red light therapy, yeah, I've heard of that, And so I'll walk in and my nurse is she'll tell me, I've spoken to Mrs. Jones about this red light therapy, and she's really excited about it. So Red Vive has been fantastic for our bottom line.
My name is John, and this is my beautiful wife, Lori, and this is our Star Wars Ewok. His name is Scout, and we have Scout for about 11 years now, and we started noticing about 3 years ago he started slowing down. He was unable to jump on the bed. He was kind of a little bit grumpier. And when my daughters, Macy and Mariah, would take him on walks, he would walk for about, 30 yards, and then he'd lay down, and they'd carry him the rest of the way. So I heard about Pet Club 24/7 and about the products from a gentleman that I really trust and share a friendship with. And he mentioned to me that they have products that are going to help him with his arthritis, help him build his immune system. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's try them out. And I kid you guys not, within about 2 to 3 days, we started noticing a little difference. And then we took Scout on a walk probably about a week after we started using the products, the Mush Puppies, and he would walk the entire way. He would walk at least a mile, and it's just been completely amazing. He's a new dog. He's 11 years old, which is around 80 years in dog years, and he's just happy. He's more energetic. He's not the grumpy old man he used to be, and we're just so thankful. And it was perfect timing because we lost our boxer Yankee about 1.5 years ago, and it was really hard on us. So I'm so thankful for Pet Club 24/7 for the products that they offer. Imagine if you could have your best friend around one more day or one more week or even one more year. I'm so blessed and thankful that we were able to find this company and find these products for Scout. So thank you guys. Give it a shot. We appreciate you. God bless everyone.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, so while we were at break, Rob retired to his nerdery and decided to discover what exactly can the vice president do if he decides to take control of the reins of the Senate. Rob,
Sure.
what you got?
Well, the short answer is no, he cannot. Of course, this is AI, so I don't know. But the Senate Majority Leader controls the agenda. So the VP, as the president of the Senate, cannot sort of unilaterally just override the Senate Majority Leader. So,
but couldn't he just basically take over the time where they can't get anything done until the Senate Majority Leader capitulates and does what he says?
Well, there's that, because I don't know. In very limited, if there were a dispute over a Senate procedure while he was presiding, the vice president could make a procedural ruling, but the Senate apparently has the power to overturn that. And so I don't know. It sounds like, realistically, let's just be honest, what it sounds like is the vice president is only there to cast a tie-breaking vote. Yeah. He's not really presiding over anything.
I'm at this point, I'm for anything that tests whatever they say the norm is.
I say
to try it. Let me give you an example. Here's Andrew Desiderio says GOP senators went after Senator Mike Lee during the closed-door lunch today over his push for the Save America Act and what one source described as a pile-on. Senators Cornyn and Kennedy challenged Lee about his strategy and complained that Trump is being led to believe it's possible for the Senate to pass it, leading to Republicans attacking each other and Trump undermining his own agenda. Jeremy Carl says, yes, we know all the establishment lackeys who feed you your scoops hate the bill. They have effectively communicated their unwillingness to do things that their voters want them to do for years and years and years. So this is going to continue, and you're also going to have these neocon senators. Neocon senators in the intel oligarchy are going to continue to get really, really mad at this peace deal. That's what I'm suspecting, because just a moment ago, Ben Shapiro took to Fox News. Now, Fox News is the channel really for a lot of boomers to get their news as to why war is good and it's good for you. And so he is now on Fox News, Ben Shapiro, trashing President Trump's memorandum of understanding.
Appears to be, just from the text, a disaster that does not achieve any of the actual signal goals that were set by the administration at the beginning. There were effectively 5 goals that were set by the administration at the beginning. One was ending the nuclear program, not just nuclear weapons, no nuclear enrichment, zero enrichment. That is not in the deal. Ballistic missiles ended. That is not in the deal. And the president today suggested that ballistic missiles should actually continue to be held by the Iranians, because the Saudis, our allies, also hold ballistic missiles. Then you have the support of terrorism. That is not part of the deal. Anything that looks like an attempt to end terrorism. A permanent opening of the Strait of Hormuz toll-free. Not only is that not in the deal appears to have a provision allowing Iran and Oman to attempt to toll the strait after 60 days. And then finally, the idea that Iran would receive some sort of sanctions relief after all of those things happen. We are already seeing from day one relief in their ability to ship oil out of Iran. In my opinion.
All right, so once again, Ben Shapiro has reverted back to his 2016 self, which is he doesn't trust Trump, but he was very much a fan of Trump engaging in this war with Iran up until this point when we're trying to end it.
I agree with him on certain levels of his first 4 points. The fifth one is that you can have some sort of sanction relief once you've met all these criteria. And he's like, well, they're already getting sanction relief because the Strait of Hormuz is open, and now they have some money flowing into their country. That's not sanction relief, Ben, and you know that. That's not. So, but the other 4 points, there's a modicum of, like, you know, yes, there's some truth in that. Okay?
I mean, yeah, but again, it's a memorandum of understanding to agree to something else in 60 days.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe it just is going to be this way. I suspect, actually, in 60 days, this thing's just going to continue. This loose general, it's just going to continue. I don't even know if they get to an agreement.
I hope not, but I mean, I hope that you're wrong. I hope that they would just, you know, come to an agreement there. But, you know, but what he's talking about is, well, we told them no nuclear enrichment whatsoever. But in what they're agreeing to is no nuclear weapons. Okay. So, Ben, you're saying that what our goal was from the beginning was no nuclear enrichment. They're not agreeing to that. They're conceivably wanting nuclear power, which is what we have here in the United States in a lot of respects. So you're saying that them having an agreement, we have an agreement and protocols in place where they won't have a nuclear weapon, you're saying that's not enough. I disagree with that.
Well, yeah, isn't that part of negotiation? You put your gas.
You got to give a little.
Yeah, you ask for the unreasonable thing, so you get what you want. You get something you can live with.
And you're saying you can never again fund terrorism. Well, how the hell are you going to measure that, Ben?
Yeah.
How are you going to measure that? You can't measure that. All you can do is say, hey, here's what you're supposed to do, and if you break this, then this happens. When you have a lawless sort of destruction-minded country as Iran, who wants to create terror and kill as many Jews as possible, all of that stuff, they're not going to follow all the rules. But the best you can do, it's the same as parents. What do we do as parents? We set these rules in place. Are they going to follow every rule? No. But if they don't follow that rule, what do? There's a consequence.
Right.
For not following that rule. And what the United States is saying is we've laid out the consequences. We've laid out this protocol that we're willing to accept. We just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, because if they have a nuclear weapon, we can't reason with you.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do with you if you got a nuclear weapon, because you can cause mass destruction more than these ballistic missiles. And Ben, being a Jew and being just pro-Israel, and they can't do anything wrong, and he would personally wipe Bibi Netanyahu's rear end, I'm sure all of those things factor into his opinion on all of this stuff, and he's not seeing the forest for the trees.
I would agree with that. Jack Posobiec, actually, this is President Trump. I know we were going to talk about MLB, but I wanted to get some of the latest about this. Here's more from Trump at the G7 talking about oil, and I think this is why the deal is happening the way it is, because of this statement right here from President Trump.
I'm going to get bad press, I know that. Now, if I did the opposite, if I went out and continued to bomb them for another 4, just bomb the hell out of them, I'd get bad press on that. No, there's nothing I can do. But what this does is it allows the ships to go. If we keep bombing, those ships won't be going. And you're talking about $500, $600, $700 million a day. It's a lot of money, a lot of money. That's why the world is okay. It's liquid. It's fine. Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see bedlam? So for all those so-called geniuses that want to show me how smart they are, ask them why didn't they blow up General Soleimani. Ask that of the general and a couple of other people that I like very much. But
you know, it's really interesting. One of the things he said, we don't have this clip, but he talked about when he killed Soleimani in his first term. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, in this speech, Trump says, we plotted it, Israel was on board, and the day before, Israel said they didn't want to do it, and they pulled out. We did it anyway. I thought that was I have so many questions. Why would Israel, with the U.S. support, pull out and not want to kill Soleimani? That's what Trump said.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to kill Soleimani?
This evil man.
Given the optics of what we're told about good and evil, and they're my enemy, and blah blah blah. I thought that was really interesting. But the kicker here is, why is this deal happening the way it is? We would run out of oil reserves in about 4 weeks. Jack Posobiec has a interesting twist on this. He says President Trump's deal, his Iran deal, to be formalized by a UN Security Council resolution with removing their uranium enrichment. That means he's got China, Russia, France, and Britain all on board. Obama was never able to do this. Only Trump could pull it off. So that's Posobiec's take. So he's talking about removing, I guess, what is that? Removing the dust? Is that what that's? Is that what that's claiming? See, I don't know. It's also fluid, but it is an interesting prospect. Okay, let's get to this. Major League Baseball. Have you heard about this? Basically, the MLB is now trying to fine their players because they wore Bible verses on their shirts during Pride Night. 3 San Francisco. Now it's San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
what's up?
We're the Giants against 3 San Francisco Giants pitchers who wrote Bible scripture on their Pride Night hats during Friday's game against the Chicago Cubs. The Florida Attorney General is now reaching out to Major League Baseball over whether forcing players to wear Pride logos while threatening to punish them for expressing their faith is religious discrimination. And I think this is what Daniel chapter 3, when Nebuchadnezzar wants everybody to bow down or get thrown in the fiery furnace. This kind of seems apropos. So what do you think about this? It goes to show you how quickly the pendulum, we think we've kind of beat the woke sex religion. It's still there, kind of brewing in the background, and these corporations are ready to, with a willing government, they are still keeping this alive.
So a couple of things. I say I've got my own sin I've got to worry about, that I deal with on a daily basis. I'm very quick to anger, as we've seen on the show, but I'm also very me. I'm I'm not slow to anger with my 15-year-old son. I'm very quick to anger with him, and I try to deal with that. And so there, I just deal with my own sin. So it's hard for me to sit here and pass judgment on someone who is engaging in a homosexual lifestyle because that's what they choose to do. But I also don't think that it has to be celebrated. Just as I don't think that you should celebrate my sin of me, shouting at my son because he didn't brush his teeth for the 15th time and we have to smell your disgusting breath. your like use body wash when you take a shower. I hope he's hearing, because my son is out here in the lobby. I hope he hears this. Wash your body, you nasty. If you're a parent of teenagers, you know what I'm talking about. Wash your body. You're disgusting. But anyway, I don't want my quick to anger sin. I don't think that there needs to be a celebration.
You don't want a parade?
I don't need a parade. I don't need a parade with fake schlongs being attached to people and drag queens and all of this stuff. Now, I'm not sitting here passing judgment on you for your decisions. That's up for me. But for also what should not be stifled is the fact that these individuals are being required to wear a certain hat with a gay pride symbol on it, and they're choosing to post a Bible verse because that's what their beliefs say. They're saying, millions of people are not going to see me endorsing this sin. No more than if I were to write, be slow to anger, right? And that's what the entire month of June is used to celebrate. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that needs to be celebrated, and if you don't celebrate my sin, then you're evil. You need to be canceled. You need to receive a fine. All of that stuff, which is what the MLB is trying to do. So I say all that to say I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment on anybody who is making that decision. I read the Bible. I know what it says. Whether you agree or disagree with what the Bible says, there's lots of people that try to say, well, the whole thing about, men and women, and men not laying with men, you got to put that in context and all that stuff. There's people that try to justify everything. I'm not trying to sit here and argue with all of that stuff. I know what I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I go to the pearly gates and I'm wrong. I believe what I believe, and I think I'm right. Regardless, sin should not and should never be celebrated.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And the whole thing is just like, that's the whole thing. They don't believe it's a sin, or maybe some of them do. But at some point the rainbow flag is almost a religious symbol in and of itself.
Well, it is. Yeah, God sent the rainbow. Said He promised to never flood the earth.
It belongs to us.
Again.
So in a lot of ways, based on that point, you can make the argument that they're actually making me wear a religious symbol, but they're perverting it.
Yeah.
And they're twisting it, and it's really wrong. But then you get into like, well, then what is acceptable? And that's why what that ultimately comes down to, Rob, is that cultural neutrality, in my opinion, is not really achievable, because you're always going to be doing something based on somebody's morality.
Well, sure.
Somebody's standard as how we analyze what's good or bad or evil, what's a sin and what's not a sin. So it really goes to show you that you really only do have two options. You're either going to be a Christian nation or a pagan nation. Rob, I appreciate you being with me today. Really do.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here with you. I'm glad I was able to be in studio today. We love our LFA audience. We love all of our chat. Great to be with y'all as always.
The last thing, I ran out of time. We do have just a little bit of time left. Just real quick, I want to throw this. Friday is Juneteenth. This meme, what if Juneteenth was created so blacks had something to celebrate during Father's Day weekend? With that, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 24/7, Charity Chiropractic.
So awful.
It is Juneteenth on Friday. It's literally a banking holiday. I forgot until today. That's all the time that we have for this edition, and we will see you tomorrow.